On the morning of April 10th, 1993, South Africa stood on the edge of becoming something new. Apartheid was cracking. Negotiations were fragile but alive. The country was exhausted, angry, hopeful, and dangerously divided. And then, at 10:20 a.m., a single gunshot nearly tore it all apart. Hani was pulling into the driveway of his modest home in Dawn Park, a quiet suburb east of Johannesburg. He had just returned from shopping. No bodyguards. No armored car. He stepped out of his vehicle, carrying groceries, when a white Polish immigrant named Janusz Waluś walked up behind him. Waluś raised a 9mm Z88 pistol and fired 4 shots. 2 struck Hani in the head. Hani, freedom fighter, Communist Party leader, hero to millions, collapsed on the pavement and died before help could arrive. Within minutes, South Africa began to burn. Hani was not just a politician. He was a symbol. To young, angry black South Africans, he represented impatience with compromise and faith in radical change. He spoke the language of the townships. He was trusted, loved, feared. When word spread that he had been assassinated, rage exploded. Townships erupted into chaos. Roads were blocked, buildings torched. Protesters clashed with police. The country teetered on the brink of racial civil war. Security forces prepared for mass unrest. Right-wing groups celebrated. Extremists on both sides readied themselves for bloodshed. The assassination had achieved exactly what its planners wanted. Because this was not a random killing. Waluś did not act alone. He was supplied and encouraged by Clive Derby Lewis, a senior Conservative Party figure who believed that killing Hani would derail negotiations and ignite a race war. Derby Lewis even provided the weapon, illegally imported and carefully selected. Their goal was simple: destroy democracy before it was born. And for a terrifying moment, it almost worked. As the nation spiraled, all eyes turned to one man, Nelson Mandela. At the time, Mandela was not yet president. The old apartheid government still officially ruled. Many expected Mandela to call for resistance, or worse, retaliation. Instead, that night, he went on national television. He spoke calmly, slowly, grieving but firm. He condemned the murder, and then he did something extraordinary. He appealed to both black and white South Africans, asking them to reject revenge, to protect the future, to step back from the edge. Tonight, he said, I am reaching out to every single South African, black and white, from the very depths of my being. The country listened. The fires did not disappear, but they did not become an inferno. Waluś and Derby Lewis were arrested within days. Both were sentenced to death, later commuted to life imprisonment. They would spend decades behind bars, still unrepentant. Hani was buried as a martyr, and South Africa somehow survived. Less than a year later, the country held its first democratic election. Nelson Mandela became president, but history remembers this truth. If that bullet had achieved its purpose, if Mandela's words had failed, if the streets had drowned in blood, South Africa might never have been born. One shot nearly ended a nation, and one voice saved it.